Hi everybody, and welcome to week 5 of this course, and we're almost halfway done. So I wanted to go over some of the changes that have happened as a result of some students giving us feedback. So here are the changes, and I posted them last week in announcement, so let me go over them. So this week there is no journal due. You are going to submit a journal in week 6. Please remember to go back to week 5 and upload the journal. But for this coming week, you don't have to write a journal. Now, in week 6, we have done away with the discussion. There is no discussion. You've already been awarded the points. So just a journal in week 6. No discussion and no journal here in this week, okay? This one is also a new change that has been made. Initially, you were supposed to submit a written paper on the explanation of trauma to your client, but now you have the choice, you have the option of presenting it in a video format, so you can just record yourself giving this explanation to the client. And I'm going to talk more about this as we approach the due date, but I just wanted you to be aware that these are the changes that have been made. And we can take a look at them right here. I'm going to week 7, and we go to the discussion in week 7. Okay, so these are the differences. Number 1, we are going to be using a shared case study. We are not going to be using the cases from Dr. Perry's book. So here is the Widener Social Work shared case example. Okay, and in this we are going to use essentially therapeutic approaches prompt. Okay, so we're not going to view the case from macro, meso, micro dimensions, but we are going to identify therapeutic approaches in each of these dimensions. And you are going to use therapeutic interventions from at least 2 dyad trauma therapy presentations. And again, I will go through this in greater detail around week 7, but I just wanted to inform you that the information can be found in this location. Okay, so going back to week 5, let's take a look. So we are continuing with treatment of trauma, and this week's readings are focused on what happens in the body. Okay, the trauma survivors are constantly telling us what's going on with them, even if they don't verbalize. They speak to us through their bodies, and all the readings this week are focused on that. So the first reading is chapter 8 of Dr. Perry's book, The Boy Who Was Raised as a Dog. And it's a really startling example of what our brains can do to our bodies. And Dr. Perry identifies that the girl is traumatized by observing how she has self-harmed. So I don't want to give away too much about the case, but the treatment that he uses for her, I thought was very radical and completely out of the box thinking, and gives so much more insight into dissociation and how it takes place. So that's a great read. And the Rothschild chapter kind of ties into it, and she talks about how trauma survivors kind of go numb and they lose connection to their bodies. And in fact, if a trauma survivor is under stress or is surrounded by someone or something that reminds them of the abuse of the trauma, then they can barely feel anything. Okay, so she talks about getting them back in their bodies. However, she also cautions us against pushing in that direction. So you have to be very careful how you treat a trauma survivor, and to not speed up this process of getting into their bodies and re-experiencing some of those things. So that's a great chapter, especially on, what is contraindicated for a trauma survivor. And then we have The Body Keeps Score, van der Kolk. Again, he talks about yoga, he talks about EMDR, and mentions how important it is for us to heal in the context of relationships, to connect to one another. But what caught my eye was, I think he talks about how just verbalizing the trauma is not enough, and you have to process the implicit as well. So this forms this week's reading, and I just wanted to go over this PowerPoint very briefly. And let me open that up. So this is about the breath, okay, and I know some of you do practice mindfulness and breathing. This is just a more detailed look at how we can use this as a resource. I always tell my clients this is the cheapest, most affordable way to tell your brain to stand down. That's what breathing does. And whenever we are stressed or agitated, our brain gives a signal, all hands on deck, and immediately the first thing to be impacted is our breathing, because we take in shallow breaths to take in more oxygen and send blood to major muscle groups to fight or run away. So we're getting ready, and one of the signals is shallow breathing. So when you take deep breaths, in through your nose, out through your mouth, your exhales are longer, you're actually telling your brain, stand down. There is no crisis, there is no emergency. And the longer exhales actually activate your parasympathetic nervous system. So breathing is essential, and it is easy to master, and your clients will have a lot of success if you suggest this intervention. So it is not out of their comfort zone, they're used to doing it, and it has tremendous benefits. So here they're talking about how to set the stage, what do you work with, etc. Okay, so this is the PowerPoint. I just wanted to check in with you. It's we're almost to the end of this course, and things are easing up a little in terms of the assignments. So we did take your feedback into account, and we have changed things around. And if there are any other issues, do let me know. And email is the best way to get in touch with me, and I do respond fairly quickly. So have a great week. Have a great Thanksgiving. Don't stress too much. And we'll get through this. Okay? Good night.